Greetings, denizens of the Eggman Empire. Today we're going to be having another Eggman-centric What If, this time exploring what would have happened if the mad scientist never lost. Specifically, if he never lost to Sonic the Hedgehog, but that might very well explode into never losing in general. We will have to wait and see. So if you're excited, leave a like on the video and hop inside your Eggmobile, because this show is about to get on the road. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the first game in the series. We all know the drill. Dr. Eggman comes to South Island searching for the fabled Chaos Emeralds, but he's stopped by a prickly blue nuisance. This time though, fates have turned. Whilst their initial encounter will play out the same, Dr. Eggman will take his loss into greater consideration, and he'll study Sonic, allowing him to succeed zone by zone under the illusion that he's got Eggman on the back foot. But by the time the blue hedgehog makes it to Eggman's final fortress, it's over. The crushing machine, the pathetic boss with the slow tracking laser, becomes Sonic's doom. He's squished beneath one of the pistons as Dr. Robotnik cackles in victory, killing Sonic once and for all. It was calibrated specifically to his speed and the patterns Sonic showed off in the previous boss encounters. And with Sonic dead and gone, all 6 Chaos Emeralds are for the madman's taking. And take them he most certainly does. Scrap Brain Zone is set into overdrive as he installs all 6 of the mystical gems into its generators, allowing his expansion to take a rapid pace. He will not be going to Little Planet, at least not yet, for he's not faced any setbacks and got exactly what he was looking for. So instead, he will transform the entirety of South Island into what looks like the bad future of Little Planet from Sonic CD. The trees are replaced with metal, plant life is decaying or dead, and most of the surface has become manufactured. The sky is a dark reddish brown from the constant billowing of polluting agents from all of the Doctor's factories, and the water is a murky, dark colour that will be absolutely toxic to any organic life form that tries to enter it. Speaking of organic life, Eggman successfully rounds up every single little critter on those green isles, capturing them inside his machines to make an insane number of badniks. All of those capsules you would see Sonic free at the end of levels, forget about them. Every single creature in them and more now serves Dr. Robotnik. With his now giant industrial backing, we will lead into the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and almost immediately it takes a turn for the worst. Since Sonic isn't around, Tails is not going to meet his hero. He will continue being bullied in whatever small village it was he lived in, with no self-confidence and seemingly no friends. Though he won't be the only one feeling bad before long, as the Emerald-enhanced Eggman Empire has arrived at Emerald Hill Zone, and it will spread its machines of war and destruction, harvesting all the organic material they can, chopping down forests, mining deep into the earth, extracting and returning these to Eggman so that he can build more factories on this new island and repeat the cycle all over again. What's his goal exactly? Simple. Dr. Eggman is clearly the smartest human being alive, so he needs to become the world ruler to have a orderly and peaceful society. Of course, it doesn't hurt that since he put all the hard work in, everyone should devote all of their attention towards worshipping his glorious legacy. But that's not the motive. He just wants what's best for everyone, and what's best for everyone is having me in charge. He faces barely any resistance at all. No one native to this island can do anything to stop him, and even if they could, his amount of badniks is too many for them to overcome. Instead, he completely transforms this island just like he did to South Island, making it another completely man-made hellscape. Of course, with his glorious image plastered from head to toe. Casino Night Zone in particular is one of his favourite projects, making sure the gambling never ends. To keep things interesting, he allows some of the island's inhabitants to serve in the casino, changing the machines, collecting the quarters, that sort of thing. But if any of them start to question Eggman, if any of them start winning too much, well, you don't want to know what happens to them. The conquest of this island is pretty automatic though. He's built enough machines and has enough resources to where he can let them do their thing, and before he knows it, the island is his. So aside from gambling, he spends the rest of his free time working on a bit of a pet project. That blue hedgehog wasn't a match to his genius, but the speed he showed was inspiring in a way. He can make it better, of course, it wasn't too much for him to squash, but he's going to try and create something with similar amounts of speed, but without the fleshy weaknesses of the creature he encountered. This isn't going to be a metal Sonic. He doesn't see Sonic in any level of value. The only thing of interest was his speed. So it's just that idea, that demonstration he witnessed, that he wants to put into his own creation. It's whilst he's tinkering away at this pet project that he's alerted to a special discovery by some of his forces. A 7th Chaos Emerald. Well, it seems like the world itself wants Eggman to ascend to rulership. With this 7th emerald that he didn't even know existed before, he decides he might as well use it inside this speedy robot creation and see how much a Chaos Emerald could juice it up. The end product is a machine of extreme speed and efficiency. It doesn't have a personality. Its functions are only to obey the word of its master at extreme speeds. Its alloy is powerful enough to withstand mundane crushing attempts and deflect most projectiles. Its turbines are faster than a modern day jet engine, and that was before enhanced by Chaos Emerald. So he will call it the Big Jet. At this point though, Dr. Eggman's activities can no longer go unnoticed and ignored. The sheer quantity of pollution he is emitting is accelerating Earth's greenhouse effect by noticeable amounts. So other nations have to start addressing the strange rise of this threat. The problem is they've left it a bit too long. Eggman's got a huge industrial resource base behind him. He's conquered at least 2 entire islands that have been completely transformed to produce his machines. His workforce never tires. How would they address this? Well, it turns out that some of the survivors of Eggman's conquest managed to get word to their relatives on a different island he had not turned his gaze towards yet, and these survivors have banded together to try and form some sort of resistance effort to liberate their brethren and remove Dr. Eggman's grasp on the islands he so ruthlessly conquered. We can call these people freedom fighters, I suppose. Why are such individuals showing up in this time? Well, just because Sonic isn't around doesn't mean that other animal people would just watch as their world is destroyed. Of course, not everyone's going to be blessed with something as special as Sonic's speed, but you don't have to know what's right and wrong. So these people just represent the oppressed groups that Eggman has interfered with, calling out for help and help coming towards them. This resistance effort has used the information from the few survivors of Eggman's reign to pinpoint some locations they can start making him hurt. They go to some of the coastal factories that might contain one of those 7 Chaos Emeralds from what they've heard. Using rudimentary explosives, but a lot of them, they do manage to bring down the facility. Before they can explore it or try and spread out their operations more, let alone return to where they came from, Eggman decides to make an example out of them and sends the big jet over to eliminate these insurgents. It makes quite the first impression. The resistance fighters open fire with whatever weapons they have on hand, blasting and smashing into the frame of this big jet machine. But it doesn't even dent. It stands there waiting for the order to act as they deplete their resources against its frame. Once they stop and look in horror as their attacks have done nothing, only then does Dr. Robotnik tell it to attack. It boosts forward at a speed faster than they can comprehend, and by the time they realise what happens, one of them's dead. They call out in panic, some of them trying to run away, others trying to attack once more. But it's futile. The next thing Big Jet does is charge straight into their transport on the sea, sinking it, and as it crashes to the bottom of the ocean, it hovers over the water's surface, analysing which one to take out next. It's a slaughterhouse. The only one who remains was the leader of this little band, which is brought straight to Dr. Eggman.
Oh, I do appreciate the gusto you and your friends showed, but I'm afraid your little game ends now. Welcome to the Eggman Empire. You will be my newest servant.
News of this resistance effort being completely annihilated spreads fast. The main group of the resistance, back at whatever it is they're stationed at, have to redraw their plans. No one returned, and it's been days. They're either captured or worse. Other nations are fearful after seeing the failure of the resistance effort. Meanwhile, Eggman's strength continues to grow unbound. He starts taking a look at his grandfather's diary in his free time, and he comes across some of the most curious nuggets he must have overlooked in his youth. Such as tablets speaking of a prophesied god of destruction that his grandfather had found on a mystical floating island. That sounds like a worthy investigation if he had ever heard of one. So perhaps his next venture will be to find this strange mystical place. However, that's going to have to wait for the next video, because this is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this different tale of the Sonic world, where Dr. Eggman seems to be steamrolling everyone in his path. What did you think about the Resistance members appearing in Sonic's stead to try and stop the genius of Dr. Eggman? Do you like where it's going? Do you want to see more? Please let me know, because only if you show your support will I know that enough of you want to see the next part. Until then though, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.